But when you were training in the gym, what was it that gave you this strength? A hatred of losing or a love for winning?
I think it was the hatred of losing. Yes, definitely. I mean, of course, you want to win. But for me, there was always this driver like, no way, I am not losing. When they would give me a fight, I always tell this to my guys. Whenever they would give me a fight on a professional level, 100 days before it, I was, how do you say it? Addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I was fixated, like when people have this addiction. But for me, it was commitment that I absolutely had to prepare perfectly for the fight. I couldn't miss any training sessions. I would literally have like this panic. Like, for example, I'd fly somewhere and I have, let's say, 85 days left until the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew that I had to fly. For example, if I was flying to Moscow, I would always pick a ticket so I could absolutely do my morning training session first. Then I'd take off around lunchtime. And once I arrived in Moscow, for whatever reason, I had to fit it all around my training schedule. Either I had to meet up before my training sessions or I had to meet up after my training sessions. And I simply could not miss that evening training session because I had to train during the day from 4 to 5 hours, 2 in the morning, and 2 to 2.5 in the evening. And I needed to, I would prepare myself that way, looking at who was in Moscow right then, wondering who I could pull into a training session there. Well, the person had to match my level as well. Not just like I showed up there, played around with him. I needed a fight back. I would arrange in advance who was gonna come. Maybe some sparring, maybe I'd do wrestling, maybe I'd hit the weights, maybe a striking workout. So I had this, let's say I always had this tough and scientific approach to it. So I believe that more than anything, I didn't want to lose rather than I wanted to win, Of course, winning is also a huge pleasure, but more than anything, I just didn't want to lose.
So in all those hard training sessions, you were thinking about not losing.
That's the fuel.
The fuel, 4 to 5 hours every single day.
Every day.
There is a story that I heard. Sadulayev, the legendary wrestler, told a story that he went to a hotel, I think it was in Moscow, to train in the gym. And he was the only, it was during the night, I don't know, he was the only one who was there. And you came down and you actually trained together. And he said he said a lot of great things about you. He said that you gave him some really deep wisdom, which helped him to win the gold medal at the Olympic Games. I'm curious, could you tell us now what you told him? What kind of wisdom did you give him?
I can't remember exactly, but we had really great conversations.
It's a great story that the two of you, like two legends like that, just met completely by chance.
Well, look, he's a 2-time Olympic champion, right?
Right.
I think he doesn't skip his training either. He never missed one back then. I believe that we both ended up there because we both, hate to lose. And we both really want to win. And recently I came across this idea. There are athletes who simply want to win, and then there are some for whom victory isn't enough. They want domination. I believe that he is one of those as well. They want domination. And for that, what does a person have to do? They have to train. They have to grind morning and night. And there was this thing with us. After the morning, my father never let us sleep. When I say the morning, I mean after Fajr, the dawn prayer. He just wouldn't sleep himself, so we couldn't either. So every morning, 6, 7, we'd be out doing our warm-up. Some people might call it a warm-up, but when you show up at the stadium in the morning, you run 5 kilometers, you do sprints, you work with resistance bands, you work on the pull-up bar, you do push-ups, dips, jumps, the bands, then work with a partner, drilling, and so on. That's about 2 hours of work. You drop 2.5 kilos there. Not really a warm-up, but father always called it that, right? That was a full morning training at 7 a.m. Then I came home to rest, and at 4 o'clock, we'd head to the gym. The training would start at 5 o'clock and end at 7. By 8, I'd be home, and by 11, I'd rest up. And yet, I kept thinking that something was missing. Like, I know that I have a competition coming up in like 40 or 30 days, and I would wake up and I'd be like, let me go to the sea. I'm going to go down to the sea, do some running, some sprints on the sand, work out, and so on. And so many times, I ended up going out for a third training session as well. Sometimes father would say, rest. In the morning, we're going to have a heavy workload. But sometimes I wouldn't tell father. I just go out at night, head out and train. At night, when everyone's asleep, when nobody's around, I'd grab one of my close friends, give them a call, have them pick me up, then hop in the car and head to the sea. I'd train for an hour or an hour and a half, come back and crash. Next morning, I'd get up and start all over again. And just this routine, non-stop. And when I see guys, when they do just one training session, or like they say, on Wednesday, we have a morning training, then an evening sauna session. What do you mean? You have to fight in 50 days. You have a huge fight ahead and you want to take a rest in the middle of the week? Well, rest on Sunday. On Saturday, do a morning training, hit the sauna in the evening, take a complete rest on Sunday, and start all over again on Monday. That was just my approach. Everyone does it differently. I don't know. I just think it has to be in your head. You've got to want it incredibly badly.
So you believe that to be a champion, you have to train like that? You have to be that serious for the majority of people?
Let's say I believe that to be at the top tier, right? One of the best in the world. A person has to always be, a little bit, let's say just a little bit crazy, but in a good sense of the word. You have to be addicted to it and to want this incredibly bad. You have to take a fanatical approach to the training process. Just showing up and working out, that's what hundreds of thousands of guys are doing around the world. To stand out from that, from this crowd, let's say, who have the exact same goals as you do, to stand out from that, you have to take a fanatical approach to it.
Well, look, I'm training with John Danaher, and they train like that too. They train 3 times a day. And it actually feels right this way. I mean, of course, this is how you have to train.
Because of that, John has one of the best
he makes champions.
Students in the world. And after all, they don't just take some random place. I mean, they're not somewhere in the middle. They're at the top. And look at their whole approach. Some people, look, a person with that kind of approach just can't be somewhere in the middle. It's impossible. If you have a fanatical attitude, the right attitude toward the training process, on top of that, you have to be fanatical about it. You love what you do. And in the end, there will be results. Well, just look at John and look where his guys are. He creates champions. He finds a champion in everyone, across every category, right?
He creates champions, not just one or two, but all of them. He finds a champion in everyone, across every category.
Look, the people who come to him, he has a system, let's say, right? Under his roof, there is a system. People come here and they become champions in this system. So there are people there who are champions. These are specific, established names. And there are other people who came and left. They entered that black room, so to say, an uncomfortable place. They went in, stood for a year and a half or 2, and left. Nobody talks about them. These are the people who came in, broke mentally, and left. And there aren't just a few of them. There are a lot. Usually most people give up. There are many who give up. But then there are the ones who come in and stay there for a long time. Long, long time. And after some time, they achieve success. They become the best. They prove to themselves that once they enter the system, they could stay there for a long time, endure, and become the best. They prove that they are already capable of many things. They can be trusted to supervise big, important projects. I would even say, for example, 2000 years ago, they could easily rule entire cities. So a person who has gone through it physically, who has lived through it, who has faced challenges, passed the tests, they are capable of a lot, highly capable. You don't just walk into martial arts and become the best. It's very difficult. It means that you go through pain, you make sacrifices, you give your time, you face setbacks and failures in training. The mental strength and capacity mean a lot there. And when I talk about his system, look, I mean, those schools that became the best, let's say, in football or in freestyle wrestling, or let's say in MMA, in grappling, or in judo, it's really hard to enter one of the best schools in the world, to stay when they are breaking you, throwing you, choking you, to improve as a person and as an athlete, and to become a champion. It takes at least 12 years, 10 to 12 years, maybe 15. For some, it took longer. And to get through the grind for these 15 years and then to break through and become the best is worth a lot.